Welcome to the Voncast show. Today I have a special guest with me. She's so kind to invite me to her headquarters. CreateHerStoryKaren.
Hi!
Don't know where we're at. I was blindfolded when she picked me up. So I put this on.
From the train station.
From the train station, and I don't know where we're at.
You're at the headquarters of her
somewhere
story.
in LA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, I have a previous episode with Karen 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm, just about.
6 months. What's happened since then?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So, I think when we did our podcast, it was around like June-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
June or July is my recollection. And I had just come back from Europe. So I graduated, went to Europe for a month, came back, and found out that I was actually missing one upper division credit for my degree. So I had to go back to school, and like I was telling you earlier, I think it was, like, looking back at it now is probably a blessing in disguise, because having to go back to school after doing all that stuff, I was like kind of embarrassed, and I was like, oh, okay, so what I'll do is I'll enroll in an online class so no one will know that I didn't like finish, right? So here I go, like enrolling in an online class, but at the time, ethnic studies and Asian American studies, all the classes are being threatened, right? And then low enrollment was going on, and classes were, had low enrollment, so they're being threatened of cancellation. So Professor Lai's class came about because, he kind of reached out to students, letting them know, like, okay, it's low enrollment, these classes are being threatened, and so Aaron kind of reached out and was like, hey, I know you're embarrassed, but why don't you just enroll in Professor Lai's class, help him out. I was like, yeah, it's true, I was thinking about that, but it was like I was being prideful at the time, so it's like I had to swallow my pride and be like, you know what, I really want to help out, of course, like, what I can, to help my professors, of course, the major too, the program, and so I enrolled in Professor Lai's class, and it was kind of funny because, as you know, I was one of the Pathways interns, and so I guess when he saw my name on his roster, he reached out to me and was kind of like, hey, like, is this a mistake? Like, are you coming back? Like, what's going on? So I explained it to him and told him, yeah, I'm coming back. I have to fulfill this one upper division credit. And so he offered the internship to me again. And at first I was a little hesitant, only because, I just didn't want to take on as much as I did, because I knew that I was doing a lot, like, my last semester. And then at the same time, I felt like the interns, like, without my presence there, like, folks will kind of, like, be able to take on more leadership roles, I think. So at first I was hesitant, and I said, it's okay, but then, like, I was transitioning out of my job at the time, so I left the county. So that was one major move that I made, too, after our podcast. Left the county. I was going to transition into the nonprofit world, but because my degree was delayed, that kind of fell through. So then when that fell through, I reached out to Professor Lai again, and I was like, hey, things have changed. I kind of would like to take that internship offer that you had, but I'm going to be, like, more on the sidelines, because I didn't want to be such a huge presence. I wanted to just be there to, like, guide and help and, like, assist, right? But last semester was just super amazing in a sense where a lot of things went on, like, the whole movement with the executive orders was going on, so that was just actually, like, the most activism, like, I've ever done in, like, one semester. And it, like, I was talking, I think I mentioned it to you and also to Aaron too, was like, just this last semester, I felt like the universe was like, you're actually not done yet. There's still a lot of things that you need to do, and just kind of, like, pushed it all into this, like, last, like, 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know, it was just, like, the most stuff I've, like, ever done, and super rewarding too.
Right.
And, like, the most connections I've made, I think. What?
Yeah, no, you're right. I did notice in those 3 or 4 months, you definitely got a tan.
I did, right?
Because you was outside.
I was outside, for sure. I was outside every day. Constantly.
Yeah, I commend that. You're definitely outside. You're definitely outside.
I did a lot.
You did a lot.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us more in depth of, like, what you did and I know while you were ASPP intern, you were also had a different job too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was my job at the time? Oh, I started, so transition out of the county. I actually was unemployed for a bit, but I was only doing the internship at Pathways. And in the midst of that, I had applied for an internship with the API nonprofit, so an Asian Pacific Islander nonprofit. And they didn't get back to me till maybe like a couple months later. So I went in for an interview, maybe like September-ish, and then they hired me on like October 1st, and it was for their scholarship intern. And it was basically managing like their scholarships. So I was doing Pathways, I was doing that for a couple weeks, and after being a scholarship intern, their grant writer actually left. And surprisingly, the executive director asked my supervisor, like, hey, can I see Karen's resume? And she was so impressed with my resume and my cover letter that she offered me a part-time grant writing position. So I was actually like I felt like super blessed. And I think like looking back, it's like timing, right? And I was just kind of like at the right place at the right time, because they were looking and I was already there. And I guess I'm glad that the executive director had kind of this foresight, you know, to like ask to see my resume and kind of had a conversation with me. And it's funny because when she was looking through like my resume, she was like, you've kind of been at the same places I've been, because we've done similar things. And she's actually a founder of the women's center that's now CPATH.
Right.
And so we kind of have that background in a sense where we've worked with families of people who have been survivors, domestic violence, sexual assault. I volunteered a lot, so with Little Tokyo Service Center, and the founders, one of the founders, Bill Watanabe, is actually the founder of APCF too. So Asian Pacific Community Fund is where I work. So those are kind of like, almost like sister companies, and then, or organizations, community-based organizations. And then I volunteered at, Advancing Justice for a bit and doing phone banking, and we're actually based out of Advancing Justice's building.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually kind of funny because we had a lot of like, very similar paths, and I don't know, for her to offer me the position, I was just kind of like, wow, the universe is really listening to like, because I mentioned it to you a few years ago. Erin and I had a conversation where we're like, wow, wouldn't it be great like if we graduated and got hired on by an API nonprofit and they trained us how to like grant write for free, because we were like, how big grant writing is, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, dude, how do we even start, or like how do we get into that, So when she offered me that, I was so like ready to be like, yes, I'll take it. But she was like, think about it. Don't tell me now whether you want it or not. Think about it. Get back to me by on Friday. But inside I was already like, yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they were hiring me on with no experience, right? No grant writing experience whatsoever. She didn't even see any of my writing. Like I had no writing samples. Like she's just basing it off of my cover letter and my resume, and that I've worked there for a few weeks, So I was like super happy about that. It was just kind of right place at the right time. So I was doing both. I was doing both pretty much from October until just a few weeks ago when school ended. So yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But it was great though, because Pathways, I think we did a lot of events that were super successful.
Agreed.
And we just got a lot more exposure, a lot more awareness. We were able to make connections with a lot of students, especially the student organizations on campus. And I think through the movement too, we're able to connect with folks. So I think just overall the semester was amazing. Like just the workshops we did, like they were great. Like the Solidarity Circle, like, oh my God, I was just like, wow, this is like, it just kind of, I was like, we are in a moment right now and I totally feel it. Like it feels really good, and then to be surrounded by like students and people that just had like the same energy, like I was just like, wow, it's so profound.
Very cool.
And then like the wellness workshop, that was really good.
That was good.
Yeah.
All of them were good.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a really great semester. Like a lot of stuff went on.
Thank you for bringing a lot of the supplies for the wellness.
Yeah, sure.
The everything.
Succulents from my own garden. I literally plucked them from my own garden.
20-pound bag of soil.
Yes. A big 20-pound bag of soil.
That was good. And
The gua sha.
yeah, the gua sha. That was cool.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that up until
Mm-hmm.
you introduced that. And also you brought the chicken. Like a lot of Costco chicken.
Gotta bring that chicken.
Hey, chickens. That was cool. Thank you so much.
Thank Pathways.
Yeah.
It was a
Thank
collaboration
you. Thank
for sure.
Pathways.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the resource Pathways and the Amatu House. It's a great place to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't want to go home or home is far, but you don't want to be on campus, but you kind of have to be on campus because you have a class or something in an hour, you can just go there, relax, maybe take a nap in the big room, or just do homework and have a conversation. Also free food.
Like, we always try to have snacks,
Yeah.
you know, because food is essential, really, you know. And then it's like your students, right? Like, everyone's a student. We've all been there. We don't have food. We don't have money, you know. Like, the only thing we can get is, like, water, and then we forget our water bottle or whatever, you know. So it's like, I mean, it's really just a nice community space, you know, to utilize. It's there for students. Yeah, and it's just a nice safe space, you know.
Agreed.
And we want to be able to have that like comfortable feel where it's just open. You know, you don't have to be an AAS student, you know, to utilize the space. You don't have to be enrolled in any classes to
you're talking about me. Oh, I forgot I was. Oh, you're talking about me. I'm like, that's cool. I was kind of like, oh, you don't.
You can be alumni.
Oh, okay. Like, you don't have to be enrolled. That's so great. And I'm like, is that me? No, I really enjoy it, and I'm just so. Did we talk about in a previous podcast how? I don't want to toot our own horns, but there's a certain cohort. I won't mention anyone else's names. I don't know if they want to be mentioned, but like we helped reopen that house.
Yeah.
You know.
Did we talk about that?
No, you know, I
don't think we did.
I don't think. Well, I don't want to get into details.
Yeah, let's not.
But pretty much a group of us in AAS, we were very diligent in wanting to reopen that house because of all the benefits we just mentioned. And we were so happy when it got reopened. I felt like, I don't know, it was some like negotiation, you know, it was some sort of like, you know, the certain people brought over like the peace offering, aka pizza, you know, if you want, bring pizza.
Oh, pizza.
And it was,
geez.
You don't, oh.
No, I mean, I'm okay with pizza now, but, you know, it just brings back some stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's true, right? Because the Omatsu House represents a lot of things. It's not only a community space, but it felt like home, right? It's a place that you can be comfortable in, place that you can call home away from home because it was on campus.
Right. It's structured like a house.
Yeah, you refer to it as a house.
Technically, it's a house. If you furnish it, it looks like a house. It looks like is that a duplex? No. Walls don't. No, walls don't. No. It's pretty darn near. It's pretty cool. And, you know.
And without it, we were displaced.
Yeah. We were displaced.
We were so sadly displaced.
I mean.
Where did we go?
We went to the Seasun pub.
A lot.
I definitely, you know, consumed a lot of alcohol beverages.
I did not.
You did not. You were the good one.
I have, you know, hard cider once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while. You weren't like down in like 3 beers and then going to like. I mean, 3 is a limit, and I wasn't like super trashed, but you know,
we were never super trashed.
We were never super trashed, but I was a bit giggly when I went to Buena Vista's class. Hi, Professor Buena Vista.
We were probably buzzed. Like one time, Professor. Just
she was. I was
one time. You can tell because I was flushed, right? Yeah, I get that Asian glow.
I remember like everyone was kind of bummed out. I was hogging all the food because you know Professor Buena Vista, she brings food to the class, which is so nice. Me and Charles are just hogging all the food. We're like, yo, pass it down. I'm like, what? Yeah. No.
Back to the Omatsu House.
Yeah, so we're just super happy. We're super glad that that was open and has such good benefits.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, too, so you graduated last semester. What's your transition like? You graduated into like working a full-time job and like 2 jobs essentially.
Well, I mean, it's a little different for me because I've pretty much worked my entire academic career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was maybe only 1 full year where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not work.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I left the firm that I was at. I only wanted to be like a full-time student, not gonna work. And that 1 year was like probably like the greatest academic year that I've ever had, in a sense where I was able to like stay on campus, you know, I didn't have to be like, oh, I gotta go to work, bye. Right. So and y'all would see me like rushing out all the time, and I always came like dressed professionally because I had just come from work. I gotta go back to work. So I've always worked, and only in that 1 year I didn't work and was a full-time student, and it was great. But in that last semester and last semester, I did work. So I worked part-time and I had the internship. So it's a little different for me because I'm kind of used to, you know, already being at school and working at the same time. And, you know, I had that gap where all I did was work. So I already kind of knew, you know, what it was like, right? So the transition actually wasn't too difficult for me. I think in a sense where I did have that small gap where I wasn't really doing anything, I would, you know, sleep. And I love just kind of waking up with no alarm. But I'm a morning person, so I still kind of wake up early, like 7-ish, 8-ish, right? 9 is kind of late for me. But it's like I'm usually already awake. I just don't literally get out of bed till 9. Yeah. So, like, we're early birds. So it's just that little portion where I was just kind of like, oh my god, I have to wake up like with my alarm at like 5:30 in the morning now. Bah.
Yeah. It's different, right, when you wake up early on your own versus having to wake up early because you have to go somewhere, depending where you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's
definitely
just
different
tough.
Feeling.
Yeah, it's tough, especially in the morning when it's cold. In the shower, like, oh my
just
god.
Want to cuddle with your pillow.
Yeah, it's put the blanket over you, look at memes. I think when I wake up, I send like you and a few other people memes.
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I find everyone's kind of like, most folks wake up and they're like on their phones for a minute, you know, because I felt like that kind of wakes me up actually. Like if I don't feel like waking up, if I look at my phone and start like replying to messages or something, like I wake up. So yeah. I
send the Shiba. I always send that account of like that girl that like I forgot
she's so cute.
Yeah, Mogu-chan.
Yeah.
Mogu-chan, and then like I forgot the
Shiba.
Yeah. That dog is so patient.
Oh my god.
I've never seen a dog so patient.
Because it's around children.
She pokes.
Yeah.
Oh, good chan. I'm like, oh, I don't know too many dogs that just like can take that. So good for her and good for the dog.
Super cute.
Super cute.
Super cute.
Super kawaii.
Yeah.
So that transition was not too bad for you, which is great. I think in the beginning, in the previous podcast, we talked about like you starting a brand, but you're a bit vague with it. You're a little mysterious about it for good reason. You know, you're starting up, and you know you don't want to talk about it until you're ready. So, what is or who is CreateHerStoryKaren?
So I wasn't like I wasn't trying to be mysterious. Right. It was really like I was still trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, and it's kind of like it's still evolving actually. Right. So. I don't know, like, if I mentioned this to you, but I have a problem with the whole, like, you know, when it's those icebreakers where it's like, oh, describe yourself in 1 word, or describe yourself in, like, you know, and I have a problem with that, because I'm like, there's not just 1 word that I can, like, you know, like, fully encompass, like, who I am, you know? And I have, like, I'm always just, like, 1 word, or, you know, when you have to, like, constrain yourself into this little thing. So, like, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, so I've always been kind of like non-conventional in a sense where I know like I can't just be like a worker bee. Like I can do it and I can do it well. I can work a 9-to-5 job, you know, I've done it, but it's just eventually I know that I'm being constrained and I know that I need to be doing something else. So I've had business ventures, right? I've done other things and I've tapped into the world of like owning your own business and like things of that nature, but I never really like fully jumped into it, right? And like I have a creative side to me. I like to DIY, I like to do all this stuff, and folks have always told me like, oh, you need to do your own thing. You should, you know, have a shop on Etsy. Like you should, you know, open up your own special events, like event planning and like all this stuff, right? And I'm always like, yeah, I like to do it, but I do it for my friends, I do it for my family, like it's different, you know? I feel like like if I do it for like someone I don't really know, like my heart won't fully be in it, right? It'll still be fun, but I don't know. So I've gotten that a lot, and so when I finally decided, like, okay, we're going through like a change, right? This whole media thing, right? YouTube's blown up, like, you know, vloggers are all over the place, and like there's just all these things. So finally around that time I was like, you know what, I should finally kind of like jump into the deep end and, you know, see where this can go, because I know that I should be doing something else. I just don't, like, I haven't found it yet, right? So it's really like trying to like find myself and like a way to like tell my story, because in school I was introduced to the term her story through Professor Uba, and it just struck a chord with me, you know, and it stuck with me. And even when I graduated, like on my cap, you know, it was like her story in the making.
I like that.
Yeah, and it just stuck with me. It's like I have a story, I have lots of stories, and my story is still being made, it's still being told. But another thing was, it's like, who's telling your story, right? It has to come from like your perspective, like from you, because it's your story. If someone else is telling your story, it's not the same,
right?
You know, and it's going to be from their perspective, not from yours. So for me, it's like her story in the making, my story is in the making, but who's going to be telling my story, right? I want to be able to tell my own story. And then it was like, but I have so many stories, right? And I think we kind of touched on this. It's like, I felt like I lived like 1,000 lives or something, but it's like, you know, I'm only 34. I'm a millennial, right? So I'm somewhat young, but it's like I'm not too young anymore. But at the same time, like, I feel like I've gone through so much just in like my 34 years of life, you know, that like I have so much to share. But I still, like, there are some things with me that were traumatic that I'm still learning how to process and learning how to share. And I think kind of through this journey that I'm on, I'll eventually, like, learn how to, like, talk about and, like, share, you know, my emotions and, you know, stuff that's happened in my life. But, like, when I was thinking about how I should do this, my DIY was the first thing, right? So I was like, yeah, I have like a DIY like blog, right? It'll be like a lifestyle thing. I'll show people how I make my crafts, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, how do you make this? How do you make that? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, I'll start with that. But then as I thought about it, I was like, but I don't want to just be crafts, right? Like, that is like a part of me and it's fun, but it's not, like, it's not all of me, right? It's just a part. So then I started off like, well, maybe I'll do like lifestyle blog, right? So I was like, oh, because people are always like, oh, you're kind of fashionable, you're kind of like stylish, right? I kind of see you doing like a fashion thing. Like, one of my friends was like, I see you doing like an outfit of the day fashion thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I used to do my nails all the time. So it's like, you know, little designs. So I was like, okay, I could do that. But then again, it was like just a part of me. It's not all of me, right? So then, I don't know. So it was like just little things here and there. So when we were talking about it, I was like, I don't know, like what I'm going to do. Something's going to come about. I'm not sure what yet. So I think just kind of trying to get that launched around that time was when the whole student movement was going on. So I kind of had to push like my own stuff to the side, and I had a lot of like organizing that I was doing, you know, a lot of community work that I was doing. And that kind of made me think too, like, I kind of like, I love taking pictures, and I've always loved taking pictures. Ever since I was a little girl, my auntie got me my first camera. I've always loved pictures. And like, for me, taking pictures is kind of like documenting. It's not, it's also like, you know, when you see something beautiful, right? You want to capture it. You're in the moment, you want to capture it. But it's also like documenting life, like for me. Sometimes when I take pictures, it's not to like share, but it's just for me to keep. Even like with my friends, like, you know, Erin doesn't really like taking pictures, but when you're my friend, you know you gotta take pictures because I'm a picture taker. Like, that's just, you know? So it's like, I don't take it just to like post it on social media. And I grew up in an age where social media wasn't, you know, the thing. But it's like, I take it for me, you know? And so I forgot where I was going with that. But
so you're talking about how you weren't, you know, you do so much that you didn't, the Create Her Story Karen brand, you didn't want to be box yourself in with just DIY or just fashion. But because these are all different elements of your life, and just to focus on one would be kind of like discounting your story.
Yeah.
Her story, per se.
Yeah, her story.
Karen's story.
So, community work kind of made me think too, like, I wanted to document that. That's where I was going. And one big thing too is like when you do things, you want to be able to give back to the community, right? Like I volunteer, a lot, and it's part of like me just kind of fulfilling that need to like help and like give back, because through like the work that I've done in the corporate world, like I didn't really get to do that, or I was on the other side of things where I felt like working for the bad guys, but so it's like volunteering, for me is to fulfill that need that I have, in like helping the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that with her story, I want to show that part too. I want to be able to like help the community out with like what I'm doing, give back to the community any way that I can, and also help spread the awareness, because that's the other thing. It's like some folks like they want to help or they want to donate or they want to whatever, but they don't know how, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's also one of the things where I want to kind of be that I want to be able to do outreach, right, and to campaign for the things that are important to me. So I want to kind of highlight some of that in whatever my brand is going to be too, so a way to give back also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recall, I saw this on T.I.'s Instagram or Facebook or whatever, or Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a quote that goes, people don't remember you by what you did or what you've done, but instead the opportunities you've given to others. I think it's a big reason why I do podcasts, because I make music, I rap, but to me it seems so, it's nothing bad, it's more ego driven, right? Like
About
I'm
self.
rapping, it's about self, which is fine. I
Uh-huh.
think it's great to have a sense of self, a sense of ego, not in the negative term ego, but you have things you do that identify who you are. That really doesn't fulfill the giving back to the community role the way that I was taught in Asian American studies, giving back to the community, leaving, giving back, making the world better than what you came in, making the world better than what it was when you came in and when you got into this. So for me, I use podcasting also just to like, I genuinely like listening to people's stories, and I like to use this platform to like raise awareness for other people and share their story. I mean, my platform isn't like big of anything of that nature yet. It's like I can't like make or break someone, but hearing their story and listening to them talk, and I think what's really rewarding for me is when they like message me a little after, hey, thanks for like letting me share my story, or I see them post it on their social media, and friends like, oh my gosh, you're in a podcast, that's so cool. I'm like, yes, that's what's up.
No,
So
it is cool because it's also a release, right?
Yeah.
It's therapeutic because we're human beings, right? We need to talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a form of release. It's a form of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super cool because everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, and it's nice, to talk about it. And sometimes it's easier to talk to, the camera or whatever. And sometimes, you feel like nobody's listening or whatever, right? But it's nice. And I'm glad you have that platform,
Thank you.
to do that.
Yeah, and just giving back, and like, I don't know, giving back was very instilled in what we learned. We were taught in some classes, and it's just very important.
Yeah. One of the things I try to live by is this quote that I heard a long time ago. I forgot who said it, but it stuck with me. It's always leave it better than you found it.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's like everywhere you go, anything you do, anything that you touch, you always leave it better than you found it.
Very true.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I should also live by that. That's I mean, I think I do, but I like that quote.
Yeah.
There's that, and like do something once and like do it right the first time kind of thing.
Like I learned that too. Measure twice, cut once.
I learned that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are like good quotes. Measure twice, cut once. Yeah. And then you told me this quote. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes!
You learned that from an activist?
Yeah, the founder of Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Yeah, I heard that on a podcast, actually. Call Your Girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, referred to me by Aaron. But yeah. So I these are like life philosophies, I think.
Yeah. So you're saying, you want to, start working on this brand. I mean, you already did. And a term we see very often in social media, internet, that wasn't always around up until recently, or maybe I didn't notice it, or you didn't notice it, are the terms, influencer or social influencer.
Right.
They seem to, I mean, someone hearing that for the first time makes it seem like, has so much weight.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view on those terms and how they're applied?
So, I don't know. I kind of had not necessarily like a negative feeling every time I hear the word influencer, because it's like, when I was thinking about like her story, right? Like, how am I going to do this, right? Of course, social media is a great platform, and that's what everybody's using now, is YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever. And I'm going to use that too, but I just had like this, I was very hesitant to say, oh yeah, I want to be an influencer, right? Because then I was like, sounds
pretentious almost.
Almost, and then
it's
at
like,
the same time, it's like, when I think of that, I think of the influencers that I do see, like, on Instagram per se, and it's like, I don't relate to that, It's like, I don't see myself doing what they do, because it's either, not everybody does this, right? It's not everyone, but it's just my take on it. It's usually like you're a makeup guru, right? And then when they say lifestyle blog or whatever, it's like you're, this fashionista that travels the world, that just, is always seen in like these picturesque, beaches or something. Not to knock that's bad or anything, but it's like, I just didn't, like, I couldn't relate to it, So I couldn't say like, yeah, I want to be an influencer, just because when I thought of influencer, I thought of those people. And I'm not a makeup guru, right? I'm not all about hair. I'm not all about clothes. I'm not all, I love to travel, sure. But it was just like, I couldn't see myself doing what they do. But at the same time, I was like, I do feel like I want to influence people, but influence in a sense where I want to be able to promote change in a positive way in the world, right? Like, I want to be able to like impact people, positively, right? And one thing that I've heard a lot from my friends that they say that I'm good at is like, I'm good at listening, right? And a lot of my friends kind of come to me for advice sometimes, or like, oh, what should I do, blah blah blah, only because like, I guess I've been through I have a lot of life experience in a sense, and I've come across like a lot of situations that most folks haven't, maybe. So for me, it was like, I wanted to also be able to like help people in that sense, right? Like, I don't know, just bring like influence in that sense where it's like, you have a friend, right? And who influences you the most? The people that you hang around with, right? You are, birds of a feather flock together, like, your friends are your friends because you can relate and you have like these commonalities, right? You have these conversations, right? And when you need help, who do you turn to? You turn to a friend, and those are actually the people who influence you the most, not people that you see on social media for the most part, right? And social media, like, these people who are influencers, they're sometimes promoting like products, and they're trying to like sell you something sometimes, right? Most of the time. And not to say that's bad, most of the time, like, some stuff that I learned about was through, an influencer that was promoting a product. I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious, let me find out, right? So it's not bad, it works, that's marketing. But like, I just, like, I feel like, what are you trying to influence, right? Like, how are you trying to better the world? Like, how are you leaving the world better than you found it? Right? Like, what are you doing to like help out people in need, like communities in need, like people of color, or like women, right? Like, things that are important to me. I'm just kind of like, who do I find that are actually influencing like this positive change, right? And it wasn't like the influencers that I saw usually, right? So I don't know. That's why I was a little hesitant to like say, oh yeah, I'm trying to be an influencer, because I'm not. But then like, kind of, but not really, right?
Yeah.
And then like that term now, it's like, yeah, like we had that conversation, like, what are you influencing? What are you trying to promote? You know?
There's this great video on Instagram about that. I don't know who the speaker was, but he made a lot of sense. What are you influencing? Like, what are you?
I think I saw that too.
Yeah, he showed that one to me, and it's true. I feel that the term social influencer, maybe to me, the term influence is like a very strong word, and to carry it around and use it so lightly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know too many. I'm sure there are very good, individuals that promote their brand at the same time, promote consciousness and self-awareness and self-love. It's just that term, to me, carries so much that I don't think I'd ever want that term, because, like, influencer, it's like, dude, it almost sounds like role model, which I don't want to be. I'm not. Far from it. I think that has expectations. It's a very, like, I don't know, being put on the pedestals and being seen as a role model for individuals, it's almost like, I gotta watch every move and you can't make mistakes. And people make mistakes.
Yeah, all the time.
And I think if you're a role model, it just shows that, like, you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of those kind of, like, I guess, connotations, right, with the word. But there's a lot of, like, positive influencers,
of course,
too, just like you mentioned, right?
Of course.
Like, a lot of folks out there doing good things, but it just sucks that I think, like, because social media is kind of an escape, right? So it's like folks kind of turn to it to, like, escape from whatever they're going through sometimes. So I think the ones that are always highlighted are usually the ones that are like, okay, what are you really doing with the platform that you have, So unfortunately, a lot of the folks that are really doing good things and, like, positive change and stuff aren't always highlighted, because they're not the ones, like, breaking news, right? Or, like, doing things that are, like, discriminatory or, like, racist and shit like that. So that's what sucks with our society sometimes, I think, where I'm just kind of like, wow, really? Like, this makes headline news, you know?
I mean, it's what I'm all for people promoting their product if that's their way to, like, make money. If this is your passion,
right?
Your
way to sustain yourself.
For, like, supplement your 9-to-5 job.
For sure.
One thing I just thought of now, I think I can only ask a woman this because it pertains to the question. It's like, I wonder, like, I've read studies, but I wonder, like, the detrimental effects of social media has on young women. It's one thing. I mean, you and I, we're a little older. Like, we get it. Like, this is, layers of Photoshop. These are photo shoots. These aren't just on an iPhone. And maybe they are, but there's a lot of work put into it. It's strategic. It's done in a certain manner. It's posted at the right time. So you're almost, like, driven by a machine, but by the machine, but to someone who is, a little younger, young woman who's, or teens, or, like, maybe, like, I mean, I don't even know, because, like, every year it seems like kids are younger and get access to social media younger and younger. I'm at work or at the mall, I see toddlers, they know how to use an iPhone and well,
because they're growing up in the age,
right?
Like, we didn't grow up in that age,
right? I guess back to my point is, like, what effect do you think it would have on a young girl who's very impressionable, that doesn't know all the things we do because we've experienced it and just seen, like, past all this.
I mean, it can definitely have, I think, negative effects, because obviously the whole airbrush thing, right? These filters and stuff. It's like, it's not the real thing, and sometimes you meet someone and you're like, oh shoot, you look completely different from what I saw on, like, your Instagram feed, but it's definitely difficult because it messes with, I mean, not just women, like men too, like people, right? In general, it just messes with, like, this idea of what society thinks is beautiful,
right?
And beauty is a social construct, just like race, all of that. It's socially constructed, right? So it's whatever society thinks is beauty at the time is what is put out in media. And it's definitely going to mess with people, because people look at, what society thinks is beauty, and they're like, I don't have that, or like, oh, my hair's black, it's not this, or, I mean, let's just, like, me personally, let's just say, like, I felt that way, right? And I'm still insecure. I was definitely insecure growing up. But it's like, I'm like, oh, because I'm Asian, right? My eyes are small, and, like, oh, I don't have double eyelids, and double eyelids are pretty, and, like, oh, I have long hair, and short hair is in right now. Or then when I was little, I was like, short hair. I was like, I want long hair. So it was just, like, so horrible. And then it's like, I'm a petite person, I have a small stature, And sometimes it was like, even, you know, my friends who are just as small as me are like, oh, I'm so fat, or like, and it's like, I got that going home. Like, my aunt would say I was fat all the time, you know, and then like my skin, you know, I don't wear makeup, and it's like, I've just never been into makeup. I mean, I'm trying to implement like a skincare regimen because I'm getting older and I have sunspots, but because I like being outside, I like the sun. So like, I would always get bagged on about like my face. Oh, you're so ugly. Like, you know, so I grew up with these really very like verbally abusive like words, and you know, inside I feel like I'm super ugly, you know, and I think I project that, and like I've gotten so many times where people are like, oh, you're so pretty, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, sure, you know, and it's just like, I'm just not, I don't feel like I am sometimes, and I think everybody feels that way just because we get so much like toxic stuff, you know, not just from society, not just from media, like our own family, sometimes our own friends, you know, kids at school, like people can be so cruel. And I feel like we're in a good place, not like a really good place, but I think it's starting to change, right? Where young people are starting to realize like, hey, I don't need to subscribe to your shit. You know, and that was one thing too that I was thinking about with my brand, like with Create Her Story. It's really like, I wanted it to be like, not just a feminist thing, you know, but like, when I was describing like what I wanted for my logo, I used that I wanted something simple yet powerful. I wanted something feminine but not fragile. I wanted something that encompasses me but is very minimalistic, right? And these were the words and like the key things that I feel like encompasses me too. And with just like being a woman, Asian American too, and a millennial, coming from an immigrant family, there was just like all these things where, you know, people have this like perception, right? And like, I just wanted to like bring to the table something where I could be like, yo, accept who you are in the skin that you're in, you know, like I don't want to subscribe to the shit that like everyone else is telling me, and I've kind of always gone against that grain, and I wanted to be that voice that maybe young women or young men or young people in general kind of hear, that's just like not what everyone else is catering to. You know, like it's okay to be different. You know, it's okay to break out. We all break out. We all don't have perfect skin. We have oily skin. We have combination skin. We have dry skin. Like, it's okay. You know, it's okay to have your natural hair color if you love it. It's okay to dye your hair if you don't. You know, it's okay to like wear different color or whatever. You know, like just love the skin that you're in. You know, like you're born with it. Own it. You know, and just like it's empowering because I see that now, you know, a little more than before. Because growing up, like there were some like very like, and I think it's like extreme, right? It's like, it's funny how the media projects like feminists, right? And it was so funny. I was watching a movie with Aaron too. They were projecting this, the character who was a woman but was like totally feminist, but she was like short hair, kind of like the more of the butch, you know, kind of woman, and always wore all black, and they projected her as this like odd like extremist feminist. And I'm like, yo, not all feminists are like that. You know, like I'm a feminist, you know, but I'm not, you know, like. And then, like, people see me and they think, like, oh, you're such a girly girl. And I'm like, excuse you. Like, I grew up a tomboy. I can probably lift more than you. Like, you know, like, it's not what you see, right? And, like, own it. And it's empowering. And I kind of wanted, like, with my brand to kind of be able to be that voice. You know? Something that young people just, like, hey, you don't have to, like, subscribe to what society says is the norm. You know? Like, F the norm. What is the norm? You know, normal is like, what is normal? There's no such thing.
Would you want to be? I mean,
exactly.
It just seems, I don't know, I think what society deems as normal is, you know, certain ages require like certain, you know, milestones accomplished.
Yeah, and it's so not that.
Yeah, it's not.
It's so not that. So, like just to your question, it's just young people, like, don't subscribe to like what other people say you should do. You know, like follow your heart, follow your instincts. You know, if you need help, ask. You know, like it's just it's a scary society that we live in. You know, there's a lot of shit going on, and like people need help, and sometimes you don't have like an outlet, you know. So especially in the world that we live in now, social media is just all over the place. Like people don't talk to each other anymore for the most part. They look to people, you know, online. And hey, that's great. Like a lot of people connect online. That's great, you know, but it's just it's so different from when we grew up. You know, so different.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I think it has, media has a way where it can negatively impact young folks, but I think I'm seeing more now, more empowering things.
Right.
So I think there are ways that can be very positive too for young people.
Well said.
Thank you.
Very well said. I like that a lot.
It's like things that I can say in one sentence. Karen goes off in like
no.
15 minutes.
No, I like when guests talk and expand on their ideas and details. I don't like it personally. I have to pull answers out of guests. I'm like, so this and that. So these are good. These are good.
I talk too much.
No, you don't. You talk a lot, but what you say is it bears weight.
Okay, I'm glad.
No,
I hope so.
I like that you talk a lot. It makes my job easier.
It's funny because some folks think I talk a lot, and then some folks think I don't talk at all. And I can be both.
You can do both. Sometimes, oftentimes, I mean, you're in a podcast, you kind of have to talk.
Yeah, true.
But
it's good to observe.
Yeah, I like listening. I like.
Me too.
There's always, man. How many times have we said there's this quote? Insert quote.
Quotes to live by.
Yeah. Hashtag quotes to live by. It's like usually the smartest one in the room isn't always talking. Something about nature or like, you know, you learn more listening than talking. But this is a podcast and you gotta talk.
Yeah, of course.
Listening's also good. So one thing I noticed about your brand is that a lot of greenery is involved. The plant I keep asking about, like, what is the plant I keep asking? Yeah. I don't think you see the camera, but eucalyptus.
Yes,
right?
eucalyptus.
Let me smell this. Like a minty. This is all, you talk about eucalyptus a lot. I've seen posts. What significance, or what are significances does eucalyptus have to you? Is there like a certain meaning behind them?
You know, it's kind of a funny story. I've just always loved this plant, and I was thinking about it. And
is it edible?
I mean, you probably could eat it. It has health benefits.
It's like a barbecue stick.
But yeah, I just love eucalyptus. Like it just brings out like just like feeling to me. And the very first time I think I bought it to bring home, I love, you know, it's nature, right? We're human beings. We love nature. And you know, I've loved flowers, but I've never really liked to buy flowers to bring home because I'm just like, oh, then they die. But then I love flowers, right? So one day, when I was living in Los Feliz, I was walking down the street and there was this florist, and I was looking at her stuff and like her plants, and I was just like, oh, it's really pretty. And then in the corner, she had like a little fridge where she kept like, you know, the other flowers that she wasn't using, right? And I saw this like big old thing of like eucalyptus in the background. Or in the little fridge. And I was like, what's that? And then she was like, what's where? And she looks, I was like, in the fridge. What plant is that? And she takes it out, and like she took out this like wrapped up in like butcher paper kind of thing. And she was like, oh, this? And I was like, oh, is that eucalyptus? She's like, yeah. And I was like, can I buy that? So like not anything else that she had, but it's this. And eucalyptus is used as a filler. So it's usually a filler in like bouquets and stuff like that. So, and it's funny because when I would see bouquets of flowers, I would always see the eucalyptus, and that was the one that I was most attracted to every time I saw these like bouquets of flowers. And it's odd because most people look at the flowers, right? Not that I don't, but I just always saw the eucalyptus and thought like, oh, it's such a pretty plant. Like it's unique, it's branchy, right? And then the way the leaves are, it's like stacked. So I don't know if you actually like looked at the plant, but it's like stacked, right? And then when you look at it, see the top? It has like little branches coming out. Wow. So it's just super interesting, and like sometimes I find myself just getting lost, like staring at the plant, just kind of like playing with it, smelling it, and I just have this appreciation for it where I'm just kind of like, it's this beauty, like this hidden beauty, I think. where it's in like a bouquet and it's used as a filler, so most folks don't notice it, but it's there, right? And it smells great, it has health benefits, and the scent, like you'll see the scent around a lot now actually. It's used to like de-stress and like all that stuff.
I see eucalyptus thrown a lot in like natural products. Like, I mean, I don't know, toothpaste, but just like
creams, yeah,
lotions.
essential oils. Because it's calming, it has that sense too. So it has like a lot of health benefits. It's in some Chinese, you know those like Tiger Balm and things like that.
Tiger Balm.
Yeah, there's one that's green. It has like menthol, but also has eucalyptus in it. So it has like these, you know, kind of like health benefits to it. But I don't know, I just fell in love with the plant because it just looks beautiful to me. It comes in these like different colors, and just the way the plant is, it's like I don't know. I feel like it represents, like now thinking about it, it might even represent like, you know, how you can find symbolism in all kinds of things.
I think I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
When you're younger, did like your elders have that one? It's like a bottle. It's like smells. It's a liquid, but it smells really like minty.
Was it green?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but like they put it on everything, and it's supposed to.
My dad still does that.
What is that aromatherapy? Is that considered no?
In a sense, yes, because the scent is also like calming, but it's mainly I think for muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's supposed to help like muscle aches and pains and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember.
Tiger Balm does the same thing.
Yeah, I just remember like that smell. I don't know if I smelled it right now, I'd know, but I wonder if it has eucalyptus.
I probably have it.
Probably do.
In my medicine cabinet. Nice. Yeah. My dad's always like, "Oh, here, take some oil," and I'm like, "I don't."
Pods.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Let's see. I also noticed you have avocado toast. It's really good. You made some for me. It's very good. That was really good.
Yeah, I liked avocado toast before the hipsters made it popular.
I remember that was a thing. There was something like, millennials don't buy houses because they're too busy like eating avocado toast or something.
Yeah.
What is a millennial? Are we considered millennial?
Yeah, we're considered millennial.
What's the age cutoff? Because I always thought that millennials were like there's a Generation Z, like the 2000 kids, the 2000 babies, like the late 90s. I thought that was millennials.
No.
We're millennials?
We're like the borderline. I think it starts at maybe like 82, 83 or something.
Really?
Yeah, till I don't know when.
Because I thought millennials were like...
We're like the border.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, is there Generation Y, Generation... I don't even know.
XYZ.
Yeah. Generation A.
Whatever.
Generation A were like, I don't even know.
It's funny because people are always hating on freaking millennials, and I'm always like, okay...
Yeah, I mean, we're here because of the shit you did in the past.
Yeah, we're trying to change this shit.
We're in a situation because, well, we didn't make these situations. We're, like, growing up and like, doing what we can in these situations. Let's talk about soup.
What?
I don't know. Because soup is, like, your thing.
Soup is my thing?
Soup weather, yeah.
It is soup weather. It is.
What?
I love soup.
Why?
It's just calming. Calming.
You like scathing hot soup?
I like scathing hot things that are supposed to be hot. Okay, that's the thing. That's the thing. If it's hot, it needs to be hot.
No.
If it's cold, it's cold.
But, like, there's, like, hot and, like, you got, like, you blowing it hot. But, like, the reason I don't drink coffee and tea from Starbucks is because they just... I don't know. It's almost a distance. Let's make it like really hot and like fuck with them. Let's put it.
It's meant to be hot.
Let's put it in a container. Let's put it in a container where the container is really good because it doesn't burn you, but it's too good where it's like, oh, it's warm, it's cool. Let me just that first like drop, that half a drop of like scalding hot.
So good.
I'm
the
like,
minute
yo,
it
what
touches
the
your
fuck?
tongue, you're like, yes.
And then like your tongue is burnt, and, and I can't like talk for like I can talk, but I can't taste it in like a couple of days.
You have to build that, your taste buds to take on the...
You mean kill your taste buds?
No,
burn your taste buds?
Mine are great. They're used to the heat, I love it. Just,
you're right.
I don't know.
I mean, ice cream is good cold.
Yeah, when it's cold, it's cold. When it's hot, it's hot. That's just the way I like my food.
Okay, preference. Just, to me, it's interesting. But...
I grew up with a lot of soup. That's why. It reminds me of my grandmother.
What type of soups do you like?
I like all kinds of soups.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
My favorites is of course my grandmother's soup. which I don't get anymore, which is really sad. But soups that remind me of my grandmother's cooking. So she used to always make, like, my all-time favorite is this curry soup that she would...
Curry soup.
Yeah. It's curry, but it's in a soupy version. So it has, like, coconut milk, kind of like the Thai version, where it's soupy, but, I don't know, my grandmother was like Canto mixed with, like, she was probably Vietnamese, and my grandmother was adopted. Actually, I mean, not even adopted, but the story that I found out later after she passed was that she was left, and her parents found her and took her in. So she was, kind of mountainside China kind of a thing. Yeah, and they found her, just found her out, like, I don't know where. But they took her in. So her parents weren't even her blood parents. So the thing that I found out afterwards was, like, my identity was questioned, when my grandmother passed.
Have you taken that?
I did. I'm East Asian.
East Asian.
Yeah.
I still have to take it. My aunt took it, and that's my aunt. We're like Filipino and like Pacific Islander.
Yeah, makes sense. Historically, you kind of have that idea. Yeah.
But yeah, so soup. Yeah, soup sounds good.
No, yeah, I love it. My grandmother was a great cook. Like my mama. Grandmother gives me tongue tie. I don't know if you can tell, but like, yeah, my mama, she was great.
Wonton soup is good. There's a song called Wonton
soup. So
soup.
basic.
I'll show you a song. I'll show you the song. It's called...
You're gonna show me the song?
Yeah, it's a music video called Wonton soup.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing to do with wonton soup.
I'm sure it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's basic though. Don't order wonton soup.
Really?
I mean, it's good, but...
I don't even know what's in wonton soup. I don't think I've had wonton soup.
Wontons?
Wonton is like
wonton soup.
What's wonton? It's like the wonton.
They're like the dumplings.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. But it's basic.
I like... Basic can be good, Karen.
I know.
You know what's really good? I mean, I'm sure that's really good.
I'm sure it's
You know what's really, really good?
It's really, really good.
Really, some camera... It's like... No.
What?
No. Sorry.
What?
No, it's this phrase that like a lot of rappers use back in the day. Like, what's really good?
What's good?
What's really, really good?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it's called, but I was with Ashley Yu. I don't know if you met Ashley Yu. I think maybe Aaron like phoned for her and like SAT. She interviewed her.
Oh, I didn't meet her.
She took me to Din Tai Fung, and
Ooh,
there is this dumpling with soup inside.
Yeah, they're called xiaolong baos.
There you go.
Soup dumplings.
Soup dumplings. How do you say it?
Xiaolong bao.
Xiaolong bao. Those are really good, and like it's so interesting how you can eat them. You bite off the top first, and
no. Whole dumpling in your mouth, yo.
Okay,
all
that's
in
what
one
I do.
bite.
Oh, but isn't it hot? Oh, you like hot? Yeah. I don't want to burn myself.
I mean, to each their own. You don't have to eat it the same way as everyone else. Yeah, it's
interesting.
Different.
It's just so good. And
so good.
Okay, how do they do that? I mean,
you didn't watch? They have the window where you can watch them make dumplings.
I don't think I sat by the window. Oh, I guess it's still doughy, and you put the soup inside, and you cook it?
The soup is actually in gelatin form. So you don't actually, like, pour the soup. Whoa, yo, watch a Tasty video.
A what?
Tasty.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
There's a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like these socks.
Look it up.
Yo. Look it up. Okay, Karen bought me these socks.
Yes.
Sheba socks, but they're not socks. There's like this padding, right? I had no idea these were
like gummy.
A creation. Like I didn't know these were invented. Because you know how sometimes it's like, it's cold.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just sorry.
Cold.
I'm just mind blown. And it's so funny because I was telling her, like, she showed me her socks with like these things. I'm like, those are real. I didn't know those were like an actual thing.
Slipper socks.
Slipper socks.
Yeah.
And then she bought me them, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, that was. Anything else?
Sheba plug.
Sheba plug. Sheba plug. Sheba's. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Is there anything else you'd like to announce? Anything you're working on that you would like to talk about? Shout outs. Where can we find you on social media? Hi, Erin. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Erin. My editor. My editor-in-chief. Thank you for bringing me on, letting me talk about her story.
Of course.
You can find me at CreateHerStoryKaren on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And I haven't like officially launched, so that's why it's like I'm dabbling here and there. But hey, maybe I'll launch by the time you air this.
March.
March?
Late February.
What? Really?
Dude,
Okay.
I looked at it. I did a lot of podcasts this week.
Uh-huh.
If I release one every week, it's gonna be.
Alright, you gonna push me back till February. It's cool. It's cool.
No.
I'm kidding.
What's that one Justin
cool.
Timberlake phrase? It's gonna be May. I'm just kidding. You know, because May. Okay, thank
I
you.
think the lyrics were it's gonna be me, but
Right.
okay.
But the way he says it, it's gonna be.
Okay,
Right.
so maybe her story will launch in May.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Your story will.
Her story's probably gonna launch soon.
Soon.
Because I actually just finalized my logos.
Okay, you know what?
Super excited about that.
We'll talk after that.
Why?
We'll change some dates.
I'm just
We'll
kidding.
launch
No.
when you launch it, you know,
Launch
'cause-
whenever. I mean, you air this whenever you want.
But I want it to be strategic.
You do.
know? Yeah, I
Okay.
do. Because, yeah. I want it to be strategic. Let me know. Move some dates around.
Okay.
You know, because I can do that.
So,
you know?
as of the airing of this podcast, I will have launched her story. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll air in. Oh, wait. I just said Aaron.
Hey!
And I'm running errands with Aaron.
Hey!
and Karen.
Aaron and Karen. Karen and Aaron.
All right. I'm ruining it.
So,
All right.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank
Okay,
you so
so
much.
her story's gonna launch. Check it out. It's gonna be on Instagram. I actually have a website at CreateHerStory.com.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. Facebook, CreateHerStoryKaren. And it's just gonna be a mesh of a lot of stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna launch with first. I do have some videos that I'm editing. So we'll see.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna create her story Karen tattoo. In
Oh.
the front right of the face. No, I'm getting a Karen and Aaron tattoo.
Aw.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you. Maybe we should get our tattoos on the same day. My love tattoo.
I'm down. Yeah, we will plan it out.
That'd be cool.
Probably gonna I'll figure it out. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.